welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
And tonight we got a special guest in the house, Kelly Bromagem from Low Income Clothing. What's going on, man? Thank you again thank you for all the support. And since you showed us when we first came out, you were kind of one of the first OG supporters, so we appreciate that.
And we all start somewhere, so I'm always down to help the small business or whatever get off the ground. So always going to help where I can.
Yes, sir. We try to support everything. We're the same way, because like you said, we all started somewhere. So speaking of starting, what got you into this crazy car obsession?
Well, I really wasn't into vehicles too terribly much growing up. My grandpa was probably one of the biggest inspirations into that type of stuff because he was always buying, selling, trading, had multiple vehicles, right before he died, he had like a 53 one-ton Chevy. Had an old wood flatbed. It was fully restored, but just they were having problems getting it running. But other than that, that's one of the biggest ones that I remember. He had a little MG midget car, fully restored it. I mean, was always something automotive.
That's both ends of the spectrum.
But yeah, I really didn't really get into it until I turned 17 and got my first pickup, which was a 91 Nissan Hardback. Didn't really have a whole lot of plans. Didn't know much about anything custom. Kind of drove around what they had. It was our drag, and it was at the mall parking lot pretty much. Mm-hmm. But I'd go up there, and you'd see all these mini trucks and custom vehicles coming out and rolling, and it just kind of got bit by the bug. And a good buddy of mine now, which we weren't friends at the time, he had a bagged Nissan hardbody and came up to me and was like, "Hey, you want to buy some Z71 wheels for your truck?" At that time I was like, "What are you talking about, Z71s?" But it's the old saw blade 97, 98 GMC Z71 wheel. And, I was like, at the time, I was like, anything to get away from these 14-inch steel wheels that are on this truck. And, it started there. Took it to a shop, and, I didn't know anything about lowering a vehicle. So took it to a shop and had some drop blocks put on, and, the rest is history. Just got hooked. So been doing it ever since.
Awesome. So tell us about the current mini truck.
Well, that one is dubbed bankrupt, which is what I'm going to be by the time I get done building it. It's a 95 Nissan hardbody, bagged on some American Racing 16-inch wheels. I got the Pathfinder style camper shell on it. We've done a tailgate skin with the tag box relocated into the tailgate. Custom roll pan with a cutout that's originally for exhaust. But we went ahead and did a receiver hitch because I had already planned on building the trailer to go with it. Do have the matching trailer. It's also bagged with a 2-link bag on bar, 2500s. Gets quite a bit of lift. Still got to put the shocks on it and get the air management and everything done. But with that, I haven't done a whole lot of custom modifications body-wise. Still got the stock 2-wheel drive fenders. I've got a Phantom grill, shaved corner markers. But, the star of the show is my interior, and we've done quite a bit of work on it. Dash is painted, billet AC vents, billet defrost vents, window cranks, one-off door panels that are sheet metal, dimple dyed, bead rolled, powder coated, custom seat with some stitching done in a spade, like for playing cards, a poker table cup holder that's in my armrest. I've built the shifter handle off of a slot machine. And that's actually what I do for a living. Is I'm an electronic gaming. So, um, kind of trying to tie in what I do for a living into the build.
Very cool.
And just like people that go to casino, they can end up bankrupt too. So
real quick,
it kind
like
of tied. So.
Yeah, we just gamble in different ways.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So what's the plan for the trailer? Is that going to be like a rolling merch for low income or?
Well, at the time of the build, the main reason behind that is I want to build a camping experience for these big 3 day runs,
Okay.
3 day camping shows, Turkey Drag, which is the main one that we go to in Lone Oak, Texas. Um, we've got right now just a mattress thrown in the back. It's a foam mattress. Haven't really done anything because I plan to do a new bed. And then once I get the new bed that's straight, so I don't have a ton of body work, I'm going to start building a bed platform, get it all hooked up with some solar, some batteries, air conditioning. I mean, I plan on actuators to lift the camper shell up to give me headroom, TV that is on a fold out mount so I can, if we want to kick back outside under a canopy, we can watch TV,
Very
fold
cool.
it in when you go to. So there's a lot of stuff that I have planned for it. Um, I'm sure that it's going to have some drawers now that I can store under the camping platform to do, t-shirts, hats, any of that type of storage. Um, I've always been a fan of the camper style look, so it's just been something that's kind of evolved. I started the build, saved it from an auction. Um, a buddy of mine worked at a car lot. I saw a quick, like a sliver of a Snapchat. It had a mustache license plate, and kind of saw it, and I was like, "Hey, what'd you do with that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's already back off the auction." I was like, "I got $1,200 cash, sight unseen. Get it out of the auction. I've been looking for a hard body." So that day, I got off work at the casino and went to Ardmore. That was January of 15, and haven't looked back since.
It's coming together well. When you post it and stuff like that, it definitely gives me inspiration to go out and work on my stuff.
I'm glad to hear that. I've always heard quite a few people say that I've kind of inspired them to keep going, and that talk of people inspires me to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's kind of evolving door.
Well, and to us, the car community needs more of the people that support it. Like you're building it for you, do it the way you want to do it. People get too caught up on what it has to be, or oh no, you can't do that because it's not what everybody else is doing. And the guys that are kind of stepping out, bagging a Model A.
He's definitely stepping out. But that's something that I've always been proud about with the way I build it. Yes, I do enjoy when other people, that's like a trophy in itself, is other people enjoying the way that I'm building it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm building it for me, but if some little kid snaps his neck and wants to sit in the front seat and hit the switches, that makes me light up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they're the future. Those are the ones that we got to get involved, or else this is going to die.
Exactly. And that's another thing, trying to teach my kids to drive a stick, because that's a dying thing.
Yeah.
Too. Auto manufacturers aren't even hardly building vehicles with 5 speeds or 6 speeds.
Yeah, you got to special order them now. It used to be you had to special order an automatic.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's a dying art form pretty much. We gotta do it to ourselves to be able to raise somebody that can hop in any vehicle if they need to, or whatever. And in life, me working as a lube tech, if I wouldn't have known how to drive a standard, I couldn't
Yep.
have done half, because they did come in old classic cars, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I mean, just
definitely know how to
everything
do.
evolved away from to simpler, and it's like, well, the classic cars were about, or that's mainly what we mess with. I'm trying to kind of bridge the gap with the Model A, but they're simple, but it's a different simple.
Yeah, it's just
Everything's now just
like
push to start, get in it, and go.
you need a parallel park. Push this button. Put it in neutral. Push this button. It'll parallel park for you.
And there's trucks
So
out
it's
there
just
that back trailers up. It's
yeah.
like,
Well, now they've got it. It'll back up to a trailer and hook you up pretty
mm-hmm.
much, other than you just cranking it down.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how technology, how far it's came, but it's also disconnected a lot of people from
Mm-hmm.
the automotive
Yep.
aspect of it, to people enjoying working on them, because now they've got so much, so much electrical stuff that nobody wants to work on them. So that's another reason I enjoy old mini trucks. They're easy to work on.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And you can at least figure out, and it might not be the correct way, but there's always a way to do it with a little bit of engineering. They're a lot more forgiving than a new car.
It's true.
So you mentioned Turkey Drag. What is some other shows that you try to make every year?
Well, another one that I try to make, which is coming up end of this month in Tulsa, is Slamboree Car Show. That's another one that's been I've heard about it for years and years and never went. Part of that fact was, I was always working. Didn't get away. But it's been a big part of Oklahoma for a long time, ever since it was at the fairgrounds in Oklahoma City. It was at Shawnee for the first time I ever went, at the Grand Casino, and then until recent years, it's moved up to Tulsa. So it's getting further and further from me every time. But it's definitely a good show. Good people putting it on. So definitely something you don't want to miss.
Well, on the flip side of that, what's a show that you've never been to that you want to get to?
And there's a ton of them. A lot of stuff, you got Orange Beach Invasion, Showfest, all the stuff for Showfest isn't anymore. It's up in the coast. A lot of stuff that is along the coast and along the East Coast. Mini Nats is another huge show that I would love to go to. Not only for the show aspect, but for I've never been out to the East Coast. I've been to Florida, I've been to the Panhandle, and then we went to Cocoa Beach one time for a cruise. But other than that, that's the extent of my travels, and most of that was with my family growing up. I do want to make some West Coast shows. There's a few out that way. One that I've seen that's recently coming up is Freaktoberfest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Freaks of Nature show.
Yep.
Definitely looks like it's going to be a good time. So there's, I guess, the list is limitless right now of all the stuff, because I've mainly had to stay. I've been to Arkansas for shows. I've been to, of course, Oklahoma, Texas, but really haven't got to travel too much out. So I'm hoping to, with this venture, hopefully I can get out and start seeing more shows and meeting more people, and letting people see my truck that may not get the chance to see it because they don't come this far,
Mm-hmm.
to Oklahoma. So
yeah, there's a lot of shows that we want to get to, and that was kind of starting. This was kind of the hope was it was going to allow us to get out and experience, like you said, the West Coast shows. obviously most Florida shows we make, but Mini Nats, LST, Lone Star Roundup, Viva Las Vegas, those shows like that. Without this, it would have just been bucket list and maybe one day. But hopefully, with this, we'll be able to at least use the podcast as an excuse to go. I gotta go.
Yeah, it's business. I've got to do it.
So,
but yeah, it's definitely been a dream to get to some of those shows, and just like Battle in Bama just went to Tallahassee. So, I mean, it's a bunch of cool places that I'd be able to make a whole vacation out of.
Right.
Not just a car show. So, it's definitely something that I want to try to do more of.
Now, I know there's a bunch of states. I think Scraping the Coast just come out with Mississippi come out with the squatted truck stuff. Doesn't really. Have you seen that affecting any of the other shows? I know the squatted truck guys are kind of clamoring to most of the mini truck shows too. Have you seen any negative of less people showing up, or?
I really haven't seen a ton of it. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk of people with squatted trucks, but I haven't really seen a ton of it around here. There's a lot of good old boy lifted 4-wheel drives that are doing rednecks with paychecks and stuff like that. But there's not a whole lot of that genre of truck around here. You either see some street trucks or lifted trucks that are, so high that I'd need a damn ladder to get in, or, every now and then you'll see a bag pickup, which I'm trying to help light that fire as much as I can around here. But being Southern Oklahoma, you don't see too much of that.
So tell us about low income clothing.
Well, where do you want to start?
Ooh.
Just the whole basis behind it?
Yeah.
So, of course, as you can see, this logo behind me, that was started when we were, I guess, 04, 05. So it would have been my junior into senior year. Started on NissanMinis.com. We didn't have a club per se to where a bunch of people got together. We got on the forums. We had, that was our group. I came up with the logo and the saying. Low income was brought up by another guy. So it kind of sloped off with the forum, and nobody was doing anything with it. So I started a truck club here where I live, and we kind of did that for a little while, and had some people kind of doing some shady stuff that shouldn't have been done, and kind of got a bad name around Ardmore, which is, it was the closest town that did anything big. So I kind of stepped away from it, canceled it as a club. I've always kept the logo. I ran it on my 88 Suburban. Wasn't running it as a club, just as it's always been kind of a way of life for me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now with the economy the way it is, everybody's balling on a budget.
Yes, sir.
So I needed something for some side money to try to help with bills, some type of way to express myself at the same time. I just recently dropped out of a club that I was in for almost 11 years. Nothing against any of those guys. It was just wasn't the right time for me right now to continue to be in the club. So I got out, and I kind of had to have something to do other than the mini trucks, and it's kind of been on hold while I'm getting this going. And I just wanted to, make something for the average Joe that can't afford to spend 200K dropping a brand new truck off with a sticker still in the window.
Yep.
And kind of these garage builds, driveway builds, whatever you want to call it. The guy that may shave a door at a time, may roll around with the bed off with tail lights zip tied on. That type of build, which is just like my truck. I've driven without the bed for probably more than it's had the bed. It was half bagged for years. So I kind of wanted to do something for those guys. And at the same point, it's not just the mini trucking or custom truck side. It's kind of anybody who's into anything custom. You can be a musician, and the low income way of life can still ring true with you. A lot of those guys are struggling every day, every show, trying to make it to the next venue and trying to make it big. So, they're balling on a budget. But I kind of base it around the mini trucking, because that's me. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Some of the designs will be more custom vehicle based, bagged, bodied, lifted, even cars. They're all going to be planned to be in, eventually when we do some designs with those cars. But I wanted to do kind of you go to these big shows and you see these guys that are under construction with patchwork panels from primer and the guys that'll never really see their vehicle on a shirt. Normally it's finished vehicles that are trailer queens and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not where I am financially to be able to do something like that. I may trailer my Nissan to some of these bigger shows just because I don't trust it to go that far. But
we definitely understand that.
I want to build my truck to drive it. I want it to be a driver. But, if we take some of those, see them at a show, find, go up to them, talk to them, get the story behind their vehicle. Just like mine, I built it from an old farm truck with a aluminum style camper shell, completely stock with a 720 mirror on the passenger side and a Dumbo mirror on the driver's side. I mean, it was pretty rough when I got it. Rubber floors, base model as you can be. It doesn't have power steering or AC, which I'm gonna have to add AC because it's kind of crazy on. I got a metal steering wheel, metal door panels, and a vinyl seat.
Yeah.
And red window tint.
So
it's roll around with the windows down and switch your butt off the whole time. I know I'm probably rambling, but
you're good. That's what this is all about, man. Is hearing people's backstory. Like you said something, and it's kind of struck a chord with me. Is you want to hear the stories of the cars or the trucks or whatever it is. Like that's why this started. Like that hits to our home because every one of these cars, classic cars, mini trucks, lifted trucks, everyone has that car. Even if you're not a car guy, everyone has a car they can identify with. Whether it was the car that their high school sweetheart took them to prom in, or, for classic cars, a little old lady and a little old man, that may have been the first car they took out on a date to go get ice cream.
They're still rocking and rolling in it.
Yep. I tell the story and I love it. It put a big smile on my face when Ashley, the first time we went to a car show, she commented, she's like, that guy took our picture. And we're in a sea of shiny cars, and they're taking a picture of our rusty 54 Chevrolet that's dragging tailpipe through the grass, and I'm leaving a trench everywhere we go. But the guy took a picture of us, and she's like all excited, and we back up, and everyone around, they have shiny stuff, and they come over and, is that a 54, man? I took my wife to ice cream. I learned how to drive. Does it still have the 3 on the tree? Like, there was so many stories, and it invokes an emotion. And mini trucks, obviously, like you said, some of the trailer queens or the guys that, and I'm not blaming them for being trailer queens. If I have that much money in something, I don't want it damaged either. But the cars that you can identify, local to us, we had some trucks that were magazine cover trucks, and that was the truck you kind of always went after. But if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. So you just do what you can do and make it cool for you.
And it's cool seeing, going to these big shows and seeing these trailer queens and these cover trucks, and especially some of the ones that have been survivors that have been, bought by somebody just to preserve them. Seeing those mini trucking magazine features,
Yep.
cover trucks or anything like that. Hell, even trucking magazine or street trucks or whatever. I grew up, kind of looking at them all because I fell in love.
Yep.
And to see some of these that you only saw in magazines that were because they're on the West Coast, and now somebody in the central part of the United States owns it and brings it to your local shows. It's kind of cool, it's surreal at times. Almost makes you emotional because you get to see your childhood pretty much in person on something you never thought you'd ever see. So
the first time I seen Crew Cut actually out driving that green, that car, because like you said, you see it in Truckin', it was on the cover of Truckin', and then you see it on the TV show where Gas Monkey rebuilt it, and then, it ended up, I think the guy's back in Florida, and I think it ended up back here, but that's where it started. He's
the founder of Phobia.
Yeah.
That I'm now, and it's just it's insane to see that that progression of where these vehicles end up. Some of them, they don't get the best of fate, and they end up half missing body panels in somebody's pasture covered in grass.
Yep.
Or you get the ones that get rescued and fixed and are able for the next generation to enjoy. And some of those generations that are seeing these for the first time, they may not know anything about when they were in Mini Trucking Magazine. And they're only seeing it there at that show right then. And, that's their chance to fall in love with that one and strive to build something as cool or cooler. So.
And also the classic mini trucks coming back, or old school mini trucks coming back out, also shows that you don't necessarily have to be laying rocker on 24s. It's okay to lay 18s. Old school 16 billets and be static. There's so many different avenues you could take in mini trucking, hot rodding. And I always say that hot rodding and mini trucking we're the same culture. It's just different, in hot rod, we call it channeling. Mini trucks call it body dropping. We're all doing the same stuff. We're all one big family. I don't know why there's such a divide other than, it's just not an understanding thing. They did the same stuff that we do.
Respect all builds, but not squatted trucks. I can't get into it because just for the safety aspect of them.
Yeah.
But do some of them kind of look cool just sitting there? I'll give them that. But I couldn't see building one. I couldn't see driving one.
Well,
because I wouldn't see the road. You're looking at the stars and driving at night.
To a point. My Dodge is probably an inch higher in the front than it is in the rear, so it's got a little bit of lean, but that's also because it's a 3/4 ton truck, and I have the airbags in the back about as far down as they can go so I can get some sort of soft ride in it when it's unloaded. But the
Yeah,
guys, the ones that get me are like 10-inch lift in the front, and then they lowered the rear end to sit on the tires. It's like, yeah,
like a flip kit in the back, or some cut coil springs
yeah,
on the Tahoe. But yeah, we built a I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. It was a 2-wheel drive '04 Suburban. It had 3-inch lift spacers in the rear with some torsion keys in the front. Of course, it was a little taller in the front just because it rubbed on
yeah.
the 33s, but it wasn't anything, extreme or unsafe. Um, but that's where it gets into a lot of people not liking them because most of those are very unsafe the way they're
Oh,
done.
yeah. Well, I mean, your
And that's
suspension's not even working in the same plane it was supposed to.
yeah, and that's why a lot of these cities are getting them because they're causing wrecks. They're running over people, running over people's vehicles because they can't see them. So I understand where these cities are coming from on trying to do that. You do have people that are saying, well, if they can do it to one vehicle, they're going to do it to every vehicle. Not every vehicle that's custom out there is causing accidents
Yeah.
because of so unsafe. Are there ones out there that are mini trucks that shouldn't be on the road? I'm sure. Are there hot rods that probably have baling wire holding the rear end together? I'm
Yes.
sure there's some.
Very,
So
very
it's
true.
fair. There definitely are those aspects of every vehicle that may not be the safest, but you know we do everything we can to make sure they're the safest they are before they go out.
Hmm. And that's another thing. Like, if you're building something, you want to be able to drive it. You want to be not necessarily comfort as in like seating comfort, but you want to be comfortable knowing that it's safe. You're
And
not
not
gonna.
white on the wheel trying to
Yeah,
hold
I
it on the
mean,
road.
and a lot of times, and I also get that, oh, you got a build coming up, and maybe you can't get the right part, so you make something else work for the time being. The 54 ran around with a nut that was cross threaded holding the lower control arm on because uh, no one had it. Fortunately, Gasser Garage, thank you again. He sent me the bolt and the nut because it's a funky thread. But I put the nut on and I marked it with a paint pen. And every time we stopped or got gas or whatever, I would look under there and make sure that the paint pen was still lined up with where it was supposed to be.
Make sure it hadn't backed off.
But and I put it on. I gave it a 4 or 5 Ugga Duggas and sent it. But as soon as I could get the right part and as soon as I could fix it correctly, that's what happened. I'm not out trying to, and I'm not going to be the first one to say that everything has to be exactly correct. I mean, obviously, that's part of doing what we do. It may not be for your truck. It's the beat it to fit, paint it to match, or don't paint it in some cases. And make it different. The Cadillac taillights, the filling in the taillights and running a completely different style taillight or no taillights, or there's so many different modifications that were just people pushing the limits and shaving door handles and gas doors, skinning a tailgate where it doesn't open anymore. There's people out there that'll say that ruins a truck but also this big old C notch and tower pretty much is yeah, I can't haul what you can, but it's not built for that. It's built to go out and enjoy it with your family and your buddies.
No, at the same aspect of some of these bagged vehicles, they've got a better payload than they did factory because of the air ride.
Right.
That's what semi trucks have driven on for so long.
Mm-hmm.
and they're good. I mean, it's all about your fabrication. As long as it's done properly, you really don't have to worry. But those Ugga Duggas, those are just as good as Loctite and lock washers.
I mean, send her home and hope for the best. And again, and literally, I don't want anyone to get it twisted. Like every time we stop, I would look under the front end and make sure I made sure that the nut was pointed in the direction that I could easily look at it. And anybody that seen me probably was thinking, well, I told you that car wasn't going to make it, but that car's way more reliable than it appears. And now that I said that, it's going to fuck up, but
Even at hard body places that I never thought I would, and went, I think my longest trip in it was 6 hours. It hasn't been crazy long drives, but
that's a good little drive
no,
in a mini truck.
no power steering, no AC in Oklahoma in the middle of the summer trying to go to a show. I mean, it's that's definitely a decent drive, but then you got to think that's round trip in a vehicle is another 6 hours home.
Yep.
So 12 hours in a day of driving just to go to a 1 day show sometimes, you know, sometimes, but just because of work, I had to do it that way. But now being off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I kind of get that freedom of, hey, it's a 3 day show. I'm staying all 3 days. I'm going to rest a little bit before that drive
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, and that does make a difference. That's why we enjoy Turkey Rod Run for us, because it's Thanksgiving Day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It takes all those days to walk it, but we tried to do it in one day. The first one I ever took Ashley to, we tried to do it in one day. We walked 16 miles and didn't see everything.
And almost crawled back to the truck.
And I vowed
And you get those cruising coolers, so you can just cruise on.
They won't. They are very, very strict on apparatuses. They denied. We bought a groundhog and used it last year, which is like a miniature golf cart, but it's ADA compliant, so they can't tell you can't bring it. But it's a 2-seater side by side, and then they outlawed it for their spring show. They outlawed those. And then apparently somebody was like, well, no, it's ADA, so you have to let it in. So now we can't have a top. So now you have to bake in the sun. And I'm like, well, that gives me an excuse to wear the big hat.
Yeah.
But
always. And speaking of big hats, we're going to have some of those coming, those big straw hats. We'll have some of those coming soon. I've got some patches. They're leather, laser etched patches. Oh yeah, I've got it on here on my hat. But we're gonna do some of those low income balling on a budget on some straw hats. I have some of those out soon. I've got some trucker Richardson 112s.
mm-hmm.
I believe is what those are gonna be coming out. We're working on a few shirt designs. Got koozies coming, sunglasses coming. Eventually, possibly some wallet, credit card sized beer bottle openers. Just some random stuff to kind of get the name out there. I actually have 4 shirt designs right now, other than the Straight Out of Money that's live right now. We've got the flags, the 3x5 flags. I've got another flag design that'll be coming soon. So, for 3 weeks, today was 3 weeks in, and I think we're sitting at almost 2,400 followers on the page. So it's flying. It's going kind of crazy. But every follow I appreciate, because it's without those follows, my company doesn't get seen.
Yes, sir.
So another thing with inviting as many people as I can. My personal page is almost 6,000 followers. So every day sending 1,000 followers
Yep.
1,000 invites out to everybody that I can help support, and it's been kind of overwhelming because there's a lot of people that have been in this scene, and not just the mini trucking scene, but I've got help from people that are musicians. I've got help from people that are in, the mud trucks. I've got people that are helping from every type of genre of vehicle that have been welcoming with open arms. And I've got people that are artists that are wanting to collaborate on shirt designs. So it's definitely been kind of humbling to see how quick and how much support that I've gotten in such a short. So
That's
I'm just
awesome.
kind of
I'm really glad to hear that, because we've been sharing the shit out of it. Obviously, we like what you're doing. Um, and we try to support everybody that supports us, because that's what's going to make everybody, there's so much room, there's no competition, there's so much room for everybody to get a piece. And it's like you said, it's amazing the car culture will stand behind, and once they get behind you, it's just so, I mean, when we started this, I was like, if we have 100 listeners on an episode by the first year, if we have like 500 people on Facebook, I'll be out of my skin. And literally, again, shout out to Hometown Hot Rodder for believing in us in the beginning and getting them behind us. And all of a sudden, I mean, we don't have the 6,000 following or the 2,000 following, but we're almost to 1,000, and our podcast gets listened to in a whole bunch of countries, and and it's amazing. So we completely understand the gratitude for that. And whenever you get those hats ready, I'll be paying attention. We'll grab another one of them. I'm excited for our shirts.
I'll tag them on my personal page and on the low income page, and yeah, I can't wait to see you guys get your shirts. I got mine in today,
Awesome.
which I had to see if it fit, and I mean it's definitely a good looking shirt. So
Oh,
I'm
definitely.
excited to see everybody that's ordered them so far. Um, they're on the way, and whenever they get there, I can't wait to see exactly where they're all from, because I've had so many addresses from so many states that it's just been like I don't even know where I sent them all. I mean, I've got it written down. It's going to be kind of cool and again humbling to see all these different states. I haven't done anything out of country yet, but for 3 weeks in to be in as many states as I've shipped them out to, and the overwhelming support that I've received is just crazy.
It's definitely awesome. And like I said, man, we appreciate anyone that's trying to further what we're all on the same mission. We're trying to make this shit grow. We're trying to make it popular. We're trying to keep it around. So anybody that's, willing to fight that fight with us, anything we can do to help, reach out, let us know. Cause I know if it was the other, I know when it's the other way around, you do the same thing for us, and we appreciate that out of you.
Now, like I said, anytime I can help, if there's anything that you guys got going special on, or any sponsors that you guys have that I can help try promote or send out invites or whatever I can do, I'm all for it. I recently changed my TikTok name to Low Income Clothing. I haven't started posting any content on there yet, other than the mini trucking content that was already there. Um, I've got my domain purchased. Haven't done anything on the website, but I just wanted to grab it before somebody else
Yeah.
grabbed it. It's like, oh hey, we'll sell it to you for 3 times or 4 times the amount you could have got it for.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing. People that are in this industry kind of helping me guide me through this
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, go ahead and grab that while you can. It's cheap. Buy it for a year. If it doesn't work out, you can let it go. If it works out, buy it for more.
Yep.
So it's definitely definitely been an experience so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I definitely want to start going to some shows and doing, some vendor booths and getting the name out there that way. Hell, I may even start going to some concerts and
Yeah.
doing some stuff. I mean, like I said, not everything's going to be mini trucking themed, and I can take those shirt designs or those hats or those stickers or whatever and pick and choose for the type of event that I'm going to. And say somebody who's into music is into custom vehicles and they end up going to our site and seeing, hey, these guys are into mini trucking too. Cool. Let me buy that shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to make it to where it's something that can be enjoyed by everybody and not just one specific thing. Because you get into a niche to where it's very, very specific and you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, we
Just
fell
like,
into that.
yeah, well, just like you guys, you're into talking about the mini truck and talking about the hot rods, talking about other things. And yeah, you do have an automotive niche, but you have that ability
Right.
to talk about everything.
And
The
we
sky's
had
the
to
limit.
explain ourselves because again, naming our podcast, Hot Rod. Um, a lot of people see that and they're like, "Oh, they only talk about old stuff." And it was like, "No, man, I love everything. I don't care what you build. Like, if you dig it, I'm good with it." I might
My
not
hard part.
I might not understand your build. Like, I might that might not be where I want to put my limited budget, but if that's what's going to get people interested in the car culture, I don't care what you do. If you got
And,
a
another thing, your name's on the title, you're making payments on it, or if if you paid for it, and
mhm.
you don't have to worry about what other people think. So that's another thing of build it for you
Yep.
that I really enjoy, and that's something that I try to preach to everybody that I come across. Is they're like, well, what do y'all think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think? Make it to where you're happy with it, to where when you're walking into a restaurant, you have to look back and look at it, because if you don't, then you didn't build it right for you.
Yep.
So, I'll try to park it where I can see it out the window
Oh
and
yeah.
stare at it. So,
Oh, and
um,
definitely. And it's also, with there's so many, if you fall in the groove of just building what everybody else's builds, you go to a show and it's okay, there's another, I'll use hot rods. There's another Bowling Brothers chassis with a Model A sedan. There's a Bowling Brothers same chassis with a coupe. The only difference between these cars, because it's like Brian from Hometown says, it's a checklist. Like, does it have Kragers and white wheels? Does it have spokes? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Oh, is it flathead? Mini trucks are the same way. You know, is it 20s? Is it body dropped? Is it this? Does it lay doors? Does it, the lifted trucks? Oh, are you on 2414 wides? Because if not, that's the only thing that, and it's like, no. One, I want some tire around my wheel. You spend a lot of money on stuff. I'd rather hit a tire than a wheel.
yeah, especially some of you're seeing these 30 by 16s
Yeah.
with rubber band tires. They've got mud grips on them, but they're just like tiny. And it's like, how did you even mount that tire in the first place? Lots of ETH.
Yeah. And it's
So,
crazy, but
yeah,
I mean, if that's what's going to get them to come out and hang out at a car show, I'm cool with it. I don't have to drive it. You do. As long as you like it, bring it out here.
that's what I say when we try to put on cruises and stuff in Ardmore. Um, Back when I was in Forgotten Souls, we did an event called Trucks and Tacos, and it literally was just a bring what you have. If you got something custom that you want to drive in here and park and let people look at, and go buy some tacos and raise some money for whatever charity we had picked for that year, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't want somebody just bringing in their daily driver minivan or anything like that. But at the same time, if somebody's proud of that minivan and they want to show it off, I was all for it. Especially if we had the room. We kind of had some small event space at the time, but we plan on getting back into doing some cruises and stuff around here, and that's definitely something that I really enjoy is seeing
Mm-hmm.
everybody from all walks of life. We've got an old classic car club called Blue River Car Club, and it's a bunch of older gentlemen mainly that have a bunch of hot rods and classic cars and stuff like that. But seeing them coming out to an event that's put on by a mini truck club
Mm-hmm.
was kind of cool. It was blending all of those.
Yep.
We're all in it for the same love.
Mm-hmm.
The
Very true.
love
Very
of the
true.
custom. So, to see a lifted truck, a bag truck, classic car, anything custom meet up in a big parking lot and hang out and everybody's getting along. That's what it's all about.
Yep. And even that guy in the minivan, I've said this, we do a cruise on the third Sunday of every month, which is now turned into we're just going to meet somewhere and we'll cruise there. So if you want to meet, you can cruise, but if not, we'll just meet you there for the same effect. We want to get everybody together. And I've had people ask like, "Oh, well, I don't have a car right now or I'm working on something." Bring your daily. I don't care. If you enjoy cars, come hang out because there may be somebody there that can answer a question that you need to know. You may meet a guy that's, you're not a body guy. Again, shout out to BP Customs, building me a chassis. I got out of the shop. My welding skills went to lacking. I didn't feel confident enough to build a chassis for a car that I'm going to drive the piss out of. He's mainly mini truck, so he knows air ride. That was the plan for that car from jump. So why not let somebody that's also a small business that's trying to get started, why not give them some work? So that's what happened. And the frame turned out killer. There's still a couple more things we got to do to, or he's got to do to it. But at the end of that build, when it makes it to a show, if someone walks up to me and goes, "Hey man, who built the car?" Well, I did the car, but the chassis was BP Customs. I'm not taking credit for somebody else's work, but
That's
I'll be the first to admit I'm not a body guy. So if that car ever gets painted, I can guarantee it's not going to be me that did the body work on it.
Right.
I don't have the patience to make stuff straight. I jokingly say I have patience. I have no patience. I'm literally the most impatient person ever. Just because I want it and I want it now. Like
You want it yesterday.
yeah, if we could get it yesterday, that'd be great. But and
as soon as I want it.
I want it before I want it.
I said as soon as the thought is here, it should already be here.
Right. Exactly. You're right there. So before we get out of here, what's one piece of advice that you'd give somebody that's trying to get into this car culture?
Don't. Man, like I said, just it's as long as you're happy with what you're building, build it. Take that jump and build it the way you want to build it. And if people don't like it, who cares? You like it the way you want it. You pay the bills. You pay the you work for it and pay for the parts. My God, you build it the way you want.
Sweet. Well, man, I know you got to work tomorrow. I know. Well, you're an hour behind us, but Ashley's got some editing to do because we got some work to do tomorrow. So, Ashley, give us the dates.
Okay. There's not much to it, so it'll be quick.
It'll be quick.
June 19th, Friday is the third Friday cruising in historic downtown Inverness from 5 to 8. Once again, they are closing off roads at 3, starting to park at 3:30. And then, of course, our gig, the 21st, like you said earlier, we're going to be at the Cove in Inverness. We should be there about 11:30, but if you want to meet in Bushnell in Napa parking lot at 10:30, we'll cruise together.
Yes, ma'am. Well, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out?
Well, I definitely would like to shout out a few of those guys that have been helping me with this venture so far. BBS Customs, Naked City Pin Garage, Laid Out Clothing, Roland Reckless, and Mac Media. And then also Greg Luttrell. He's been helping me out with doing all of our shirt designs, and it's been a huge help. So if any of those, they'll be tagged on our page on Facebook, and I'll definitely keep tagging them and keep supporting and any way that I possibly can, because they have helped me more than they know.
Awesome. Well, go check out BP Customs on Facebook.
And don't forget about Throttle Attic. Using the code word HOTROD, you get to save 15% off.
And you can find and we also want to say a special thank to Low Income Clothing. You can find their information in the show notes, and it'll also be tagged on the Facebook, Instagram, and the YouTubes.
Yep.
All right, guys. Till next time, get out, drive your shit. Thank you again, Kelly. See you next time.
See ya.
Later.